Hey everyone, I'm Angela Fazio.
And I'm Kristen Cantrell. And today we get to talk to Tamithy. Oh my gosh.
Horrigan.
We have to start over.
We can start over. This is just the way it goes on Moms in Real Estate.
I know.
Most people don't get my first name right, so at least you did that.
I totally have your first name right.
Yeah, Tamithy. That's a fun first name.
It
Anyway,
is.
Tamithy is going to be talking to us about strength in numbers. It takes a village. We're so excited because before this episode of Moms in Real Estate, I'm pretty sure that Kristen and I were Vermont virgins.
Yes, and now we're not.
And Tamithy said she's very glad to take that away from us.
Gladly.
So I'm so excited to talk with you, Tamithy. Our audience is going to love your story. So get us started. Let us know a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm born and raised in Vermont. I got into real estate in 2014, but I got into it as an admin. I was a part-time assistant and then became the executive assistant to the broker, the office manager, the closing coordinator, and then got my license in 2017, went on a team, and then ended up after 2 years deciding to go on my own. And that timeline of when I decided to go on my own is quite funny because I said I wanted to have a baby or start my own team, go on my own, but I didn't want to do both at the same time. And I told my broker I was going to go, and team leader I was going to go on my own. And I think 2 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant. And then 3 months after that, the pandemic hit.
It was like boom, boom, boom.
I know. I have never heard anybody say, you know what? I'm thinking today, should I go out on my own or have a baby? No one's ever phrased it quite like that.
I just kept thinking you need to have support. And that's a lot about what I chose to talk about today, because I was so nervous that I'd have a baby and wouldn't have support at work to keep things moving forward. And I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about my family and my husband's lifestyle, but my husband's a dairy farmer. So both of our schedules are really hard to manage. And I just was like, how am I going to do this without having that support staff around me?
Yeah, there's so many people in our industry that are so lonely and like crave that support. And for some reason, it's so hard for them. And there's definitely so many agents out there that it shouldn't be such a struggle.
It shouldn't, but it is. And I think it's because most companies run so archaically and so like, I'm not going to tell you anything. And so to themselves that they don't open themselves up to community, which is what we all need.
Well, and it's like, I have so many people that are like, I just want somebody if I go on vacation. And I'm like, then go get somebody when you're on vacation. I don't know. I love your story too, because it's like you going from, being on the administrative side probably just gave you obviously just like the insight to what it's like to be a real estate agent, but probably just like so many skills that made it to where when you got licensed, it was so much, you were just ahead of pretty much all the other people when they get licensed, which is awesome.
I did put the day my license came in the mail, I put a house under contract.
Really? Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Tell everyone what you told me. I said, how's your morning going? What did you say?
Well, so far it's off to a good start. I've had 2 closings and I have one this afternoon and one tomorrow.
No big deal.
Gosh, that's awesome. So, I love that.
I know. And it's industry. We're still drinking coffee. So it's early.
Well, there's a 3-hour difference between us. But I can tell you right now, I wouldn't have been able to do it without the women that I've surrounded myself with now. And so in 2021 started, I was coming out of maternity leave. I had my son in August of 2020, and I didn't have a closing for 5 months. I was almost 6 months actually. And I had saved for it. I was fine with it. But there was a point in March of last year where I went to my husband and said, maybe I'm not good at this. Maybe I need to go back to college and find a different route. Maybe this isn't right for me, even though I thought it was. He was like, just give it some time. And in April, at the end of April, I hired an admin. So I hired an admin before I had actually had a closing yet.
Yeah. Did you guys hear that? She's like, I haven't had a closing in 6 months. What should I do? I'll hire an admin. But you know what? Sometimes you have to do that. I love the way that you think, because sometimes you have to take this leap of faith so that you can take another leap of faith in another direction.
Yeah. And anyone that I've added to my team, the conversation has always started as I am a mother and I love this career. I want to do this well, but I also need to know that I'm doing that well. And you can't do it all without that support. So my admin came on, and then the closing started rolling in. And I 100% can tell you that by having her only 15 hours a week, I was able to do 9 million in 6 months.
Wow.
That is so.
Did you say 9 million in 6 months?
Yes, and our average price point is about 275 to 300.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
that is
that's
incredible.
so. How many units was that?
It was 30 units.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you didn't go back to college.
Me too.
Well, and you know what? That's so encouraging for anyone listening that is sitting there putting in all the hard work and not feeling like it's, it's nothing, like it's really hard to work hard and not get paid. But if you stick with it, and I hear this story a lot where all of a sudden it pops. And so I think that that's so encouraging for people listening.
Well, and if you trust that you're doing the work to pop, then I was so worried about the client care. And I believed it was going to happen. So I was like, I know if I get this admin now and I can train her now, that when everything else starts to happen, we're already ready for it.
I also love that you acknowledge the fact that you can't do it all on your own if you don't have a tribe, because it's so easy. We talk about this all the time, where it's so easy to just feel like I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. And then all of a sudden, like, you want to break. And, and I feel like for me, at least, I go where I get a lot of help, and then all of a sudden I'm taking on everything again, and I'm taking, so it's like this kind of like roller coaster sometimes. But I think
I feel like you and I have this conversation a lot, because we have to re-encourage each other in so many ways, but especially because we tend to take on everything. Yeah. And I think a lot of women tend to take on everything
because we want to be good at everything.
Yeah.
And then it's hard if
we are.
Well, and it's you talked about how, you're so fulfilled in this industry, and so it makes you a happy mom to your son. And I think sometimes I feel like I'm so fulfilled in this industry, and I take on so much in this industry. And then sometimes when I go home, if I'm not careful, I can start to be like exhausted at home, and everything bothers me at home. And that's where it's like, where having that tribe and really leaning on them is so important.
Yeah, I felt that a lot in 2021, and that's when I started recognizing that bringing on an agent, I wasn't planning on bringing on an agent, but a situation presented itself, and I said again, I want to be able to be a mom, and I'm running around a lot on the weekends, and I know that I have a lot of value to give. I don't know how to figure it out yet, but if you're willing to, let's figure it out together.
Yeah. That's awesome. So tell us a little bit more about you bringing on an agent and kind of what you've fostered in that, what you've grown, what you've fostered, and what your goals are with that.
So I had a couple different relationships going within the office. I had an agent that was newer that I was helping, but they were independent and they had a full-time job. So they were not able to go on the appointments and didn't have the resources always in the time to put towards listings. So she became a referral agent for me. And that relationship kind of naturally blossomed and grew as she got to see more of how I do things and how we both do things, and just recognizing the values that we both have. Her daughter was 3 months older than my son. So there was just so much that we had in connection with each other. So she was a referral agent throughout the rest of 2021. The agent that ended up coming on as a part-time agent, she came on in the end of summer, and she and my admin are both past clients. So again, they already know a little bit about how I treat people, and I knew them both very well. And she came to me and I was going to try and set her up with somebody else in the office. And then I just said, you know what? I want to help you. I know that you can be really good at this. I've never been a team leader before. I'm not sure how to navigate that, but I will put in the work to figure it out. And
I love that.
Our whole thing is built on who we are as people first, and then our profession after that.
Well, here's how you are. I think you are the first person in my entire life that ever sent me a cookbook and a big thing of maple syrup.
Wait, don't tell that story yet. I want to tell that
Everyone's
story.
like, why maple syrup in a cookbook? Angela, you don't even cook, but you're going to figure it out in just a minute.
Put a pin in that. Okay, finish telling us about your team.
So it kind of all naturally and organically happened. And one of my favorite things about it is we talk about who we are first. There's nothing hidden. I started some coaching programs to become a better team leader. And one thing that we were doing was a weekly commitment. And in order for us, I felt, to really continue to support the fact that we're oriented first on the fact that we are mothers and that we are supporting each other and growing personally and professionally, that those commitments had to be personal commitments and professional commitments. And I've told them when they tell me their goals, I want to know what, your sales goals. That's great. But I also need to know what you want from life, because I can't support you as a person to person, if I don't know what you want 2 years down the road for yourself. Do you want to be a stay-at-home mom? Then let's work on doing everything that you need to do for the next year or 2 years so that you can do that. And if we're all honest with each other and we all are aware of what each person needs and what each person's scenario is, then the culture within us is going to be much stronger. And that's one thing that they constantly tell me back, which makes me feel like maybe I'm doing it right, is that they feel like our culture is so strong and that we are so supportive of each other and so aware of who each other is, that it feels like a bond that can't be broken.
Oh, I love that you do that. One of the things I was just thinking is you've given so many more opportunities to celebrate. So if you just know their work goals, if they achieve that work goal, you celebrate, right? But I know there was a point in Kristen's life where she wanted a cabin up north. And so that had nothing to do with work. But when she had that, because we knew that about her, we could celebrate with her. And that's like a whole nother level of just relationship and celebration.
Yeah,
I mean,
relationship
in the last 3 months, right.
Well, and it's just like as you grow, as you continue to grow, because that is one of your goals, it's like you're going to continue to foster something that's very sustainable. Because a lot of times you'll hear team leads, most of the time team leads complain because it takes a lot to get an agent onto their team, and then they pour into them and then they leave. And so fostering an atmosphere like that will help it to where you're not having that constant turnover.
Yeah, and I always said, if there's something that you don't feel like is going the way it should, then tell me. I'm open to that conversation. If you feel the splits should be different, if you feel the structure of our meetings, and one came to me recently and said, hey, we're going over on almost all of our meetings because I'm a talker. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, that should not be happening. And now I'm like, it is the end of the meeting and everyone's allowed to leave right now. And if you want to stay and continue the conversation, we're good. But I'm like, I want to know that. If you genuinely want to be better at what you're doing, then you're open to what other people have to say.
100%.
Yeah, you have an obvious humility, which is really endearing.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't come over. It's not like, hey, I'm a pushover. No, it's like I care, and I'm humble enough to know that I need to stop the meeting because I'm a talker or whatever it is, right?
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to the maple syrup. So I was so excited because Tamithy made my day. So I get into work and I have this big box. I'm like, who sent me something? And I don't get gifts often. So I was like, felt so excited to open it. It was really heavy too. So I was like, what could possibly be in here? And I open it and it's this, it's two, because it's for me and Angela. It was two big things of maple syrup and cookbooks. So tell us, like,
wait, before you guys tell what you did to me. So I come in later. I don't know anything about it. I sit down at the desk and all she does is she puts it on right in front of me. She puts the maple syrup and she puts the cookbook. And I was like, okay. And then when I heard the story, I was like,
I said, I can't ruin the story. I have to have her tell you.
Right. Then she wouldn't tell me the story. So I didn't get to hear it until I was talking to you, Tamithy. And I was like, that was so thoughtful and so unique. I'll never forget that.
I know.
Go ahead.
It's real estate is obviously a big part of my life, but my family is too, and my husband is a 7th, or some will be the 8th generation farmer in Vermont, dairy farmer, and they also have a large maple sugaring operation. And I mean, I could send you milk, but that's not as fun. But
it's probably
I'm a
better
little
than
bit
anything we've
partial.
ever had.
Yeah, I'm a little bit partial to it, but it's definitely the best maple syrup I've ever had. But they have a very large sugar operation. I won't say the number of trees. The rule is that we just have enough for pancakes, but they work very hard, and so most of the time I get done work and pick up my son from daycare, and we go to the sugar house, especially this time of year. And we go to the sugar house, and we're with the family, and all the moms are bringing dinner over, and they're all working. So it's my husband, and well, it started with their grandfather and the generations before that, but my husband's grandfather had 3 boys, and those 3 boys and all of their sons, so there's 9 of them total, run 4 farms together and this maple sugaring operation.
So cool.
That is, I
So
cannot, I wish I could put a picture around that. You have to send pictures of what that looks like, because I can't even pull up a mental picture of what it looks like.
Tell them, like, I don't even know what to call it when you like put the thing in the tree.
Tap it.
The tap. I have gone and done that a couple times. I always joke with people that he has a job and he does his, and I have a job, and we don't help each other do each other's jobs. But I have gone out with them, and so they have a tap. They put it they drill a hole into the tree and tap it. And when we first started dating, they actually still had a couple thousand trees that were tapped with buckets. And then everything else was on lines that ran to the sugar house. But with the buckets, on a day where the sap is running, there would be buckets on these trees through the woods in Vermont. So they're not flat. It's not flat. And the buckets would be overflowing. So you'd be running out and you'd jump on. I'll have to send you a picture. I do have a picture. But it's like a wooden wagon off the back that horses would bring you around on. And there's a giant tank in the middle, and you would hang on to the tank on this wooden platform, bouncing through the woods to each section of trees, and go grab the buckets and bring them back over and dump them in and bring it back to the sugar house that way. So it's a totally different life. Yeah,
I know. I want to do that.
And honestly, it's humbling. You know, they work so hard. We all feel like our hours are crazy, but my husband leaves long before me in the morning and gets home usually after me at night. And there's some nights where he's not getting home until 9 o'clock at night. And that's a big reason why it takes a village, because I can't tell you how many days somebody else is picking up our son from daycare because I've got to run to a showing. I just was gone for a real estate conference, and his mother came over to our house every morning at 4 a.m. so that he could leave and go to chores. And then she'd get our son ready, and he would come home and drive him to daycare. So I can't even tell you, I can't even imagine. I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing, and our lives wouldn't run as smoothly if we didn't have all the family around us.
We talk about that on this show a lot, about using, getting people around you to support you and help you. And honestly, there's going to be another person who's going to make a comment after this airing to be like, thank you for this episode, because you can't feel guilty, you guys. You can't feel guilty or less than or anything like that just because you take help from others or you participate in each other's lives in ways that are helpful. That's how I believe God has created community to be. Like, I don't feel guilty when my mom has to pick up Ari from school.
No,
and I don't feel
they
guilty
love
about
it. They want to pick them up.
Yeah, I literally text.
I have to pick. Okay, my mom's gone a couple times. I better call his mom. I better call my dad. I better call a few other people, because they're like, you haven't called me in a while to get Landon. Are you sure that you don't want me to go get him?
I group text like 4 people last night and said, hey, who can pick up my kids tomorrow? And sure enough, somebody could.
It's awesome. Yeah. I love it.
And you know what? I'll never forget. I'll never forget. I went to a Bible study one time, and it was a big one, a women's one at a local church here. And the girl that runs it, I know her, and she got up on stage, and she's like, the reason she started that Bible study was to get to know other women in the area, because she had a bunch of showings she had to go to, and her husband couldn't watch the kids, and she has 3 boys. And she said it was really like crazy to her, because she goes, I had nobody to call to help me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's so crazy. I can't even imagine. So But she did something about it. You might
Yeah.
be sitting there and you might be like, I don't have anyone to call. Well, then look at what she did. She had a huge room full of women that she was helping with, learning the Bible and going through different Bible studies together. And those are now her community of people that she can reach out to. So I think that was cool.
Honestly, my support doesn't end with our parents. I have friends. Luckily, some of them are also in real estate and their kids are the same age. But I have called them and been like, hey, yes, we're going to come over for dinner. We're going to come over and hang out and have a glass of wine. But I'm going to drop Landon off and run down the street and show a house and come back. And they're like, yeah, absolutely. Don't worry about it. It's the cousins. It's everyone. It takes a village. And for us, it takes a whole town. But luckily, half the town is my husband's family. So you can ask anybody around here. There's a town, and there's half of them are Horgans.
Well, and there's more cows in your town than people.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's true.
One thing I love about this show is we get to hear what it's like selling real estate all over the place, and so it's really like fun to put ourselves like to think, what if we just like lived where you lived and how different it would be, Well,
what's the farthest you think you drive for a showing or a listing appointment?
Everything's very like,
well, it depends. Like when I first started in real estate, I would drive an hour and a half to go do a showing on the other side of town. But as I got more productive, I didn't want to go far at all.
So it takes me 20 minutes just to get to the office, and we cover 4 counties in Vermont and then some. So I have, and I know girls on my team and other agents where we've traveled 2 hours one way for one showing.
Yeah,
no,
that's crazy. You need to look up Unlocked Box.
Yeah, everyone
right
needs to
away.
Look up Unlocked Box. No E.
It's
an app.
That episode.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you need that.
Yes.
You can't drive 2 hours one way. You can't even drive 2 hours both ways.
My dad's like, my dad loves to drive around. I'm like, maybe you should just drive me. That way I can sit there and keep working.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Well, you need one of those self-driving cars then.
Yeah.
Which is terrifying, but they work.
It is.
Tamithy, I'm thanking you again for the most unique gift I've ever gotten. I'll never forget it. That was awesome.
Thank you.
And you're absolutely a delight. Your team members and the people that know you are so blessed to have someone so kind. And thank you for being a guest on our show. Seriously, that was awesome.
Thank you for having me. I can't tell you, I was so excited about this because it's literally the 2 things I love talking about the most.
Yep.
Yes.
Us too.
Yeah.
What a coincidence.
Just become best friends.
I think so.
All right, guys, thank you as always for being a great audience. Keep your eyes out all year round for our Flourish event that happens 2 times a year, once in the April-ish timeframe and once in the November-ish timeframe.
And our website is theflourishevent.com, where it will always have updated information about the next event.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for watching. And Tamitha, thank you again.
Thank you.